besides describing the physical nature of the web of the spider, it is also describing about the relationship, the family relation, in which many a times the female spider kills the male spider. The Quran says in Surah Namal, chapter number 27, verse number 17 and 18, that ants are talking to one another. You may think it's a fairy tale book. What? Ants are talking to one another? Today science tells us the insect or the animal which has the closest resemblance to the lifestyle of the human being is the ant. It buries the dead. It has a very high system of communication. It has marketplaces, etc. Quran also speaks about medicine. It says in Surah Nahl, chapter number 16, verse number 60 and 69, that you get the honey from the belly of the bee, which we discovered today. And in the honey, there is a healing for mankind. Today, science tells us that in the honey, there are antiseptic properties. No wonder the Russian soldiers used it to cover their wound, which left very little scar tissue. It is used in the treatment of certain allergies. Quran speaks about physiology. It says in Surah Nahl, chapter number 16, verse number 66, and Surah Mu'minun, chapter number 23, verse number 21, it describes the blood circulation and the production of milk. And 600 years after the Quran speaks about blood circulation, Ibn Nafis discovered it. And 1,000 years after the revelation of the Quran, did William Harvey made it famous to the Western world. Quran speaks about embryology. The first verses of the Quran to be revealed were from Surah Alaq or Surah Iqra. It says, Iqra, Bismi Rabbika alladhi khalaq, khalaq al-insana min alaq. Read, recite or proclaim in the name of thy Lord who created the human beings from something which clings, a leech-like substance. This and several other embryological data which is given in the Quran was taken to Professor Keith Moore, who happens to be one of the highest authority in the field of embryology. He lives in Toronto in Canada and was asked the question, whatever matter the Quran speaks about embryology, is it true? Some Arabs followed the guidance of the Quran. If you are in doubt, ask the person who knows. So they asked Professor Keith Moore, is it true? He said that majority of the matter in the Quran is 100% perfect, matching with the latest discovery of embryology. But there are certain statements in the Quran which I cannot comment on, because I myself do not know it. And one such verse was this, that they have created the human being from something which clings, a leech-like substance. He said, I do not know whether an embryo looks like a leech. He went and got a photograph of a leech and examined in his laboratory under a very powerful microscope the early stages of an embryo, and it exactly matched with the photograph. And then he said, whatever the Quran mentioned is perfectly right. And whatever new data he got from the Quran, he incorporated it into his book, The Developing Human, and took out a third edition for which he got the best medical book written by any person in that year. And he said that whatever the Quran mentioned, all the things about embryology we discovered recently. It's one of the latest branch of medicine. It cannot be written by any human being. It has to be of divine origin. The Quran says in Surah Tariq, chapter number 86, verse number 5 to 7, it says, does not man think from what is created? Is created from a drop emitted from between his backbone and ribs. And today we know that the genital organs, the testes and the ovaries, during the embryonic age, they develop